You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I am your host, Steph, and today I am so very excited to be talking about this win. Finally, a win to talk about. It's been quite a while, and this one was very exciting because it was against the Rams. We finally got to see Christian McCaffrey in all of his glory, and I think it's safe to say that Christian McCaffrey is definitely worth all of those picks that the 49ers gave up for him, right? I mean, maybe he's worth even more. And I don't know, but the 49ers, I know, are feeling very good about having him on their team because I'm not sure the 49ers win without him today. And so we're going to talk about how the 49ers did in this game. And let's just start by going over the news. What happened? What were the inactives, right? Because there's always injuries with this team. And so let's talk about that because that really set the stage for this particular game. Well, Deebo Samuel, who we know as the Rams killer, at least that's what I call him. I don't know about you guys, but he was out for this game with a hamstring injury. And, I was a little nervous because Deebo Samuel, he's been that guy historically who has kind of rallied the 49ers to wins against the Rams in past games, and him not being out there, definitely a huge blow to the offense and what they're typically able to do. Another guy who is out is Jauan Jennings, also dealing with the hamstring, and Kyle Juszczyk. Those are important guys to the offense. Deebo, Jauan Jennings, Kyle Juszczyk, very important. So you're kind of wondering, okay, what are the 49ers going to do? How are they going to be able to win this game? Well, you know that Christian McCaffrey was going to be a big part of this offense, and that he was. But on the defensive side of the ball, Eric Armstead, once again, still dealing with his injury. Jason Verrett, there was talk about him possibly coming back for this one, though he was not. And then Dre Greenlaw, one of our better linebackers that lines up next to Fred Warner, he's also out. So on the defensive side of the ball, with these last couple of weeks that we've seen from them, a little concern as well. Like, okay, we don't have Greenlaw out there, Cooper Kupp. That's what we're going to be dealing against this week. So I was a little worried. I don't know about you guys, but hey, it turned out to be okay. So let's talk about how this game ended up happening. What's going on, Melissa? Yeah, she says triple crown for C-Mac. Yes, we love to see it. And Melissa said, I was more nervous about Dre Greenlaw because of DFF bad play last week. But damn, 21 unanswered points. Way to respond by the defense. Absolutely. They seem to hit a stride at some point in this game. But let's talk about how the game started off for this team. Well, first, on the Rams' very first drive, they got the ball first. They netted just -2 yards, and the 49ers forced a quick 3 and out for the Rams. So that was good. I mean, that was really good. But and then after that, the 49ers, they got the ball first after the Rams. And really the big play on that drive was a 2nd and 9 play. Jimmy Garoppolo trying to go deep to Ray McCloud, slightly underthrew it. But I don't know about you guys, but I thought McCloud probably could have jumped up for that one. I know they said that on the broadcast as well. I'll have to watch it again, but a little disappointed McCloud didn't come up with that one. Despite it being underthrown, he still could have made a play on it. So, but I do like the aggressiveness. I do like them. It seems like once a game, they try to go for that downfield throw. And so far, it hasn't resulted in a touchdown, but it also hasn't resulted in an interception either, I don't think. So keep going for it. So on the Rams' following drive, the score at this point is still 0-0. Rams do get to the red zone. They continue to struggle, and the defense continues to struggle getting off the field on third downs. Ambry Thomas, who was in there because Charvarius Ward, I think, left the game for a snap or two on that drive. So Ambry Thomas was in there, and of course, he committed a penalty in the end zone. And then on 3rd and goal, Mooney Ward, after he came back into the game, he committed a penalty in the end zone, and Stafford was able to rush in for the touchdown after that 17-play drive, which lasted 9 minutes, 21 seconds. They traveled 88 yards downfield. The Rams did on that one. And on that drive, I was a little nervous because I'm like, oh man, we're seeing the same themes for this defense that we've been seeing, them not being able to get off the field on third downs, them committed penalties in like some key spots. And that's really what led to the Rams being able to keep their drive alive and score. And so at that point, the Rams scored first. The score was 7-0. On the 49ers following drive, Trent Williams started the drive with a false start, and so off the bat is 1st and 10, but they get the ball moving anyway. Garoppolo found Kittle wide open down the middle, 24-yard gain. And that play was a great example of Christian McCaffrey having an impact even when he doesn't get the ball. One of the defenders, I think it was the linebacker, he was focused on Christian McCaffrey, and so it kind of opened some space up for George Kittle to be able to get that pass in the first place. It ended up being a 24-yard gain, so we're already seeing the impact of CMC on this offense. Pick your poison. There's way too many playmakers on this offense. CMC probably seen as the most dangerous of all of them, and so the attention that he gets, opens things up for everyone else. And so on 2nd and 8 on the Rams 34, Garoppolo passes backwards to CMC. CMC passes to Brandon Ayuk downfield for the 24-yard touchdown to tie the game. That was a beautifully executed play. And it was the first of 3 total touchdowns for Christian McCaffrey. As you guys know, he had a hat trick today. He had a trifecta. He had a passing touchdown, he had a rushing touchdown, and he had a receiving touchdown. That one was his first of the day, the passing touchdown to Brandon Ayuk for the 24-yard touchdown. Really electric stuff. I love to see stuff like that. It was just a matter of time before we saw something like it. And so it was just really exciting to see how Kyle Shanahan is using Christian McCaffrey. It's obvious he wants to use him in every facet of the game. And yeah, I know that Deebo Samuel was hurt in this one, but I think we see this type of usage even, in most other games as well. It'll be hard for Shanahan to not, want to use him that much. But at this point, the game is tied. The Rams, they're moving the ball with ease. Screen passes and then passes downfield to Kupp were kind of killing the defense at some points. And then that drive ended with Cooper Kupp getting a touchdown with Oren Burks on coverage. And a lot of people were wondering, well, why is the linebacker on coverage on Cooper Kupp, the Rams' best offensive player? That's a question I don't have the answer for. But definitely some strange things happening in the first half that it seemed like the defense got corrected in the second half. But the Rams at that point went up 14-7. And on the 49ers following drive, the 49ers get a pretty good drive going. I mean, they move the ball. A lot of Christian McCaffrey still. A lot of Brandon Ayuk, getting him involved. Jimmy Garoppolo was sacked on that one. They do get to the red zone, though. 3rd and goal. Garoppolo to McCaffrey. But McCaffrey did appear to have fumbled. He appeared to have fumbled a little close to the end zone. It was recovered by Kittle, but after the refs reviewed it, it ended up being an incomplete pass. So the refs called it an incomplete pass, meaning that the ball was taken back to where, that play had started, which was not as close to the end zone, obviously. So I know a lot of people after that one were saying, Kyle, go for it. Like, what the hell? Go for it. It would have made sense to go for it if it was called a fumble, because that would have meant that the ball would have been at like the 3 or the 4 yard line. I don't remember the exact point, but it was close enough where you could have probably gone for it. But because it wasn't a fumble, that puts you a little further back. And so it made sense that the 49ers ended up electing to kick the field goal at that point. They ended up cutting the Rams lead 10-14. And so the Rams get the ball with 1 minute before the half, and they go pretty conservative, which was kind of surprising based on like the last few drives that they had. They were moving the ball against the 49ers defense. And so they went very conservative. Clearly they were happy to go to halftime with a 4-point lead. which was surprising, especially because the 49ers also were getting the ball back after the half. So that was kind of weird. Let me get to some of these comments here. Joe E says, BLA for a third time in 2 weeks. Damn, that win was refreshing. Yeah, he's talking about Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey, if you guys recall, the week before he got traded to the Niners as a member of the Panthers, played against the Rams. And I think he had like 150 yards in that game or something like that. So the Rams, sick of this guy. Absolutely. He beats them 2 weeks in he beats them the third time in 2 weeks. Beat LA for a third time in 2 weeks. Wait, second time in 2 weeks, I think. Second time. Paul says second half was encouraging. I don't think the offensive woes are healed yet, though. I'm with you, Paul. I think it was encouraging. This is the type of game they needed to have. And of course, it's good to see Christian McCaffrey get integrated into the offense so seamlessly. This is kind of what we expected anyway, because he was a shoo-in for this offense from the get-go. So, it's nice to see that. And I think that's going to open things up for this offense. Like, I think we already saw it today, like the fact, all of the attention that he gets from the defense opens things up for other players on this offense. And so I think using him in those ways, we're going to see more of that in the coming weeks. And yeah, I don't think the offense is healed, but I think this was a step in the right direction. And so I am altogether happy about this game. Joe says, yes, we got the Chargers coming up. Yes, we do have the Chargers in 2 weeks. So after the bye. So yeah, we will get to beat LA 2 times. Let's beat that LA too. Yes, I'm with you. So at halftime, the 49ers, they had, I think, either 3 or 4 penalties, and the Rams had 2. Rams were converting 83% of their third downs. 49ers were converting just 50%. Jimmy Garoppolo had been sacked 2 times in the first half. Stafford had been sacked 0 times. And so there was a bit of an unbalance there where you were kind of nervous, right? Like, I know it wasn't just me that was a little nervous, especially because so often this year we had seen this offense go stagnant in the second half a little bit, right? So I was worried about that. They were down 4 points at the half, but Christian McCaffrey, he had 12 total touches in the first half. No other player on the team had more than 2. So you guys saw just in the first half alone how involved he was in the offense. And fans were bringing up the stat of Kyle Shanahan being 7-30 when losing at the half. When he's trailing at the half, he's won just 7 and he's lost 30. I don't like that stat because a lot of those have to do with bad quarterback play. You know, when they had Hoyer, Beathard, Mullins, guys like that. But I don't like bringing that one up. But anyway, people were bringing it up on the timeline, so I thought I'd mention it now. But we know the 49ers ended up winning, so now they're 8-30 when losing at the half. But let's see what happened in the second half, right? Christian McCaffrey, he gets to the outside for a huge gain up the left side, 25 yards. He gets the 49ers at midfield. The 49ers were forced to take a timeout on 2nd and 8. Not great coming out of the half. You're already using your timeout so soon. Jimmy Garoppolo then targeting George Kittle. Jalen Ramsey got up to nearly intercept it. He kind of bobbled it as well. That was a really close one. I know we're all glad that didn't end up being an interception. But on 3rd and 8, Aaron Donald got a sack on Jimmy Garoppolo. That one was a case, again, where they on 2nd and 8, they had to take the timeout because they were late out of the huddle. And so they had to take the timeout in order to not get a delay of game. And on 3rd and 8, on the play that Aaron Donald sacked Jimmy Garoppolo, it was kind of a symptom of it was kind of the same thing. Brendel snapped it early because they had to avoid the delay of game. Burford wasn't set. Literally, as a ball was snapped, Burford was looking back at Garoppolo. And so the ball is snapped. Burford's not even looking at Aaron Donald. Donald just runs right through him and he gave up the sack. So that one was unfortunate. And that the third sack of the game on Jimmy Garoppolo. And so coming out of the half, that wasn't encouraging, right? You're thinking to yourself, wow, like that was a perfect opportunity for the 49ers to like go up in this game, and they weren't able to capitalize on that. So I was already like, okay, here we go. Same old offense that we've been seeing for the last few weeks. But on the Rams' following drive, all right, the Rams do get a first down through the ground, something that we hadn't seen much of in the first half. Their ground game is terrible. Their running backs are terrible right now. Nick Bosa was able to get some pressure to force a Stafford throwaway, which kind of forced him to a 3rd and 5. 49ers brought pressure on a blitz, but Stafford was able to get the ball out for the first down. Luckily, though, the 49ers defense was able to force them to another 3rd down. This time it was a 3rd and 6. And 49ers try to get pressure on Stafford again. And this time they were able to stop the Rams. So the defense gets a stop, which becomes really important because this is really where the momentum starts to shift. So that stop was huge for that defense at that point in time. The 49ers following drive, they get the ball at the 12-yard line. And this to me was the best drive of the game. Like I said, this was the momentum shifter for this game. Garoppolo, first pass was to Tyler Kroft, then pass to Ayuk downfield for a first down. Christian McCaffrey then fumbled on a hard hit from Jalen Ramsey, but it was recovered. This second time that, McCaffrey kind of had lost the ball. The first time it was called incomplete. This time it was called a fumble. Luckily, it fell right to Ray McLeod's arms. I don't know. I've never seen a ball fall that perfectly. Like McLeod was on the floor. He wasn't even like standing up, and it just fell right to his arms. So 49ers got lucky on that one. Thank you, football gods. And then following play was a 15-yard gain on a check down pass to McCaffrey. Then Jeff Wilson Jr., got in on a few plays, some positive. They were getting chunk yardage on this one. First, it was the pass to Jeff Wilson Jr. for 11 yards. Then the pass to Brandon Ayuk for another first down. Then Jeff Wilson Jr. again on the ground, rushing for a gain of 12 yards. And then before you know it, the 49ers are in the red zone. So this is perfect. Then Garoppolo to Ayuk, that gets short of the first down. And on 3rd and 2, this is really important. This was the best play of the game. 3rd and 2, Jimmy Garoppolo finds McCaffrey in the end zone on the right side. McCaffrey showing his hops. He got up high to bring that one down. And that was by far the 49ers' best drive of the game. Maybe McCaffrey's best play of the game as well. The way he was able to like high point that and come down with it was very impressive. It was a nice throw by Garoppolo as well. I know it was a little high, but I thought it was impressive that he was able to find him after all of that. And again, you're seeing how important McCaffrey is already to this offense. He's a perfect outlet to Jimmy Garoppolo. And when they showed the replay as well, you'll see Jimmy Garoppolo's, looking at all his reads. McCaffrey, at least in the broadcast, they said they didn't think McCaffrey was even like a read on this play. He was just there. I don't know if that's true, but he was definitely an outlet, and he wasn't really doing anything. He was on the right side. And then as soon as he saw Jimmy Garoppolo kind of leave the pocket, McCaffrey kind of went upfield and, ran to the end zone. And that's where Jimmy Garoppolo was able to find him and throw that pass. So I think, was it Garoppolo I think it was Garoppolo said that Christian McCaffrey sees the field like a quarterback. And to me, that was one great example of that, because when you think like a quarterback, you're thinking, oh, like he needs my help. I need to go and be, his outlet receiver. And that's what he did on that play. So like I said, best drive of the game, 11 plays, 88 yards, 6 minutes, 54 seconds. 49ers take the lead 17-14, and they did not look back. At this point, Christian McCaffrey is the second 49ers player with a passing touchdown and a receiving touchdown in the same game in the last 70 years. Last player to do that was Emmanuel Sanders, or the only other player to do that was Emmanuel Sanders in Week 14 in 2019. And now that he also got, so that was before he got the receiving touchdown. So I'm like, the rushing touchdown. So I'm like, he must be the first 49ers player to have all three. at that point, but I don't know that for sure, but I think so. Yo, RJ, what's going on? He says, yo, one hell of a game. CMC is a real deal, absolutely, and he's a perfect fit to this offense. I'm still like in awe and disbelief that the 49ers have him in the first place. It's like a dream come true. I'm sure it feels that way for Kyle Shanahan as well. To have McCaffrey. He's so good. Yeah, let's get right back into the game, though. The 49ers at this point up 17-14. Rams following drive. 49ers force the Rams into a 3rd and 8. And this time, the 49ers gets pressure once again on a stunt, and Fred Warner gets a sack on Stafford. Bosa was in there as well, and they forced the Rams to punt. And so, like I said, that the previous stop for the defense was where the tide started to shift a little bit. Momentum started to shift to the 49ers, and that really changed the complexion of the entire game. And so the defense able to get 2 stops in a row on Rams ended up being huge. 49ers, they get the ball back. Now it's the 4th quarter. Christian McCaffrey, he gets a carry, takes it out of bounds. Rams get called for unnecessary roughness to gift the 49ers an extra 15 yards. I don't know about you guys, but I love it. I love the fact, like clockwork, that every time the Rams play the Niners, they're like arguing on the sidelines. They get all chippy and pissed off. Like, we bring out the ugly in the Rams, and I love it. So thank you, Rams, for gifting us 15 extra yards on that one. The 49ers, after that, they get into a 3rd and 1 situation. I was thinking QB sneak all the way, but it was actually Jeff Wilson Jr. that got the first down on that one. And now at the Rams 25, Christian McCaffrey up the middle, bounces it outside, takes it to the 1. So close to being a touchdown, so close. And at this point, he has 2 touchdowns, right? So you're like, okay, let's give him the 3rd. All he needs is a rushing touchdown. Let's give it to him. So the 49ers do that. McCaffrey runs it in for his 3rd touchdown of the day. And he has the 1 receiving, 1 passing, and 1 rushing. The 49ers go up 24-14 on the Rams following drive. There's about 12 minutes left in the 4th. Fred Warner nearly intercepts the pass intended for Allen Robinson. Fred Warner, by the way, was like all over the place in this game. If this team could just like clone 11 Fred Warners and just have a defense full of them, I think they'd be all right. But fortunately, the rest of the guys on this defense are pretty good too. So the defense forces the Rams into their 2nd 3rd down of that drive. This time it's a 3rd and 2. Stafford had Higbee wide open, and he just dropped it. And that would have been a huge play for the Rams. It would have been a huge play. Like, he might have gone all the way on that one because I don't think I saw anyone in front of him. But he dropped it, and they ended up punting instead. And at that point, 49ers after that, they put the nail in the coffin. On 2nd and 8, Jimmy Garoppolo finds a wide open Dwelly for a 56-yard gain. They get to the Rams 14-yard line. Jimmy Garoppolo throws a beautiful basissimo pass to George Kittle right over a defender in the end zone, and the 49ers go up 31-14, and that pretty much seals the deal, sealed the win. Let's look at Christian McCaffrey's stats for the day, okay? 34 yards passing, the 1 passing touchdown to Ayuk. 94 rushing yards, his rushing touchdown, that was the last of the day. 55 yards receiving, 1 receiving touchdown. He had 9 targets in this game as a receiver, most of anyone. So I would say he did fill that Deebo Samuel role pretty nicely, wouldn't you? I mean, wow. And let's look at some of the other stats from the guys today, because if you guys watched my preview episode, I had mentioned that other guys were going to need to step up, right? Like, obviously Christian McCaffrey was going to play a lot of that Deebo role, and he certainly did, but some other guys were going to have to do a lot too. Brandon Ayuk, Kittle were some of the guys that I mentioned that would have larger roles. George Kittle, not a huge role, but he had 5 targets, 39 yards, but he had that 1 touchdown that pretty much sealed the deal. So I was expecting more involvement out of Kittle, to be honest, but we'll take it. Christian McCaffrey, he carried the team today. I'm okay with that. Brandon Ayuk, who I also thought, I predicted he would go over 100 yards today. He did not. He had 6 targets, 81 yards, and he also had the touchdown. Good game from him as well. And I'm still waiting for the Brandon Ayuk breakout game where I think he's going to go over 100 yards. It's coming. It's coming soon, I think. But yeah, RJ says, like, subscribe, and share. Yes, I would appreciate that very much. The 49ers won, so, I mean, we're in a good mood today, right? So go ahead and hit that like button, and make sure you subscribe if you are not yet. It's going to be a fun week of content. The 49ers, and one thing I'm going to mention really quick. I think the 49ers had 2 wins today because, to my knowledge, they didn't suffer any other injuries in this game, which is huge. I don't know if there's been another game this season where they haven't had an injury, right? I feel like they've had an injury in every game so far. So that is a huge win too. They beat the Rams, division rival, and no one got hurt. Thank God. There was Charvarius Ward did leave the game for like a few snaps. I don't know what he was dealing with, but he did return to the game. He finished the game. And it looked like Talanoa Hufanga as well left the game at some point, but he also returned. So I don't know what he was dealing with, but he came back in. And so as far as I know, no one got hurt in this game. And that's a huge win for the 49ers because this game was on turf, right? So we were a little nervous about that. So the 49ers now go into the bye week 4-4. That's huge for this team. They really, really needed that. And especially because the Seahawks still have a hold of first place in the division. I believe, I don't know if they won today, actually. Do you guys know if the Seahawks won? I think they were winning. So if they did win again, then that would mean that they're still in first place in the NFC West. But it's getting close, you know? Yes, they did win. They beat the Giants today, 27-13. So the Seahawks are still in first place, but this was an important win for the 49ers to go 4-4 into the bye week. Feels great. And to not have suffered any new injuries is great. The 49ers should heal up after this bye week. Elijah Mitchell, someone who they should be getting back after the bye week or shortly thereafter. Jason Verrett, we'd expect him to be back in that Chargers game as well. I'm going to be at that game, by the way, against the Chargers. So if you guys are going, let me know. I'd love to meet some of you. And maybe even Eric Armstead will be back after the bye week. I sure hope so, because this team does miss Eric Armstead. I know that the Rams rushing, they are kind of trash. Like they kind of suck. I think total rushing yards. Let's see. The Rams total rushing yards was 56 yards. Yeah, and that's lower than what they had been averaging this season. So it was good by the defense to have not allowed over 100 yards rushing like they did this last 2 weeks, but they still miss Eric Armstead. They still miss Javon Kinlaw. And so getting those guys back after the bye or shortly thereafter is a huge win for this team. It's time to regroup, and it's time to really make a push, make a run, because that second half, they looked really good. They looked like a team ready to compete. And I hope that keeps up. We've seen this from the team before where they gaslight us. They look really good. And then the following week, they play down to an opponent and they just look terrible again. So I really, really hope this win is the start of a run. 49ers, by the way, Kyle Shanahan is 3-5 after a bye week. So obviously that week 10, is it week 10? Against the Chargers is going to be big as well. Hopefully they could keep that momentum going. Yeah, Joey says Chargers, Cardinals, and Saints. Next, I think we could hit a streak. Only one mobile quarterback to deal with. Yeah, these are definitely winnable games, but how many times have we said that this season, right? So getting guys back on the defensive side of the ball will certainly help. Right now, I think they're making do with what they have. But, it's going to be a challenge if some of those guys aren't healthy. Jason Verrett, I'm excited to have him back because Emmanuel Mosley, I think it's going understated just how important losing Emmanuel Mosley was. And so having another solid CB2 is going to be so important for this defense and them being able to get pressure because they complement each other, right? We saw a lot in the first half that the 49ers were trying to get pressure on Matthew Stafford, and he was finding the open guy because, they weren't able to cover, that well all the time. That's something that Emmanuel Mosley kind of gave them the ability to cover, opposite Mooney Ward as well. And they together, it was like impossible to throw against because, on every down, the 49ers defense was able to cover everyone. So, yeah, I think Jason Verrett, assuming that he's healthy, assuming that he's going to look good, I think that's going to be huge for the 49ers after the bye week. And J49 says they're at 500 at rest week. Great show. Thank you, J49. Yeah, the 49ers 4-4 now, and that's a great place to be. You can make a little run at 4-4. I believe before the week, there was a stat, I believe it was by Football Outsiders, that if the 49ers won today, they would have a 66% chance of making the playoffs. If they lost today, it would go down to 33. So this was a huge win for many reasons. And the biggest reason being, you want to be able to make the playoffs. And so the 49ers still in that race, and it feels great, baby. Paul says JV should be super careful coming back. This is his last chance to play impact ball. If he gets hurt again, his career is over. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the 49ers have been the only team that have really given him a shot to get healthy and to continue playing. And yeah, he's at that point in his career where this is, this is really important for him. And so I don't know if he plays the full game against the Chargers. Like, I don't know if the 49ers plan to ease him back, but in any case, I'm excited to see him out there. He should, bring something to this team. All right, guys, that is all I have to say about this game. I am very excited. I'll have a lot of content for you throughout the bye week. So make sure you're subscribed. And I appreciate all you guys. I'm so close to being able to monetize on YouTube. So any any share, any comment, anything that you guys do with my YouTube helps me get there. And I appreciate it so much. So make sure you guys subscribe and like the video. And if you guys are audio listeners, make sure you give the podcast a rating. Appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Peace.